Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
Whitetail Rendezvous is pleased to announce a partnership with GoHunt.com. Who's GoHunt.com? Well, if you're a DIY hunter, you need the information at GoHunt.com/insider. Why? Because it provides 4,200 profiles, every unit, every species, and every season. Furthermore, they give in-depth analysis, interactive maps, unit access, and seasonal trends. Draws are very important, and they give you the most accurate information in the business. All this is available when you go to GoHunt.com/insider. Make sure you use promo code WR when you join Insider. You'll get a $50 gift card for GoHunt.com Gear Shop. Remember, when you become a member of GoHunt.com/insider, you're going to get a $50 gift card to Go Hunt Gear Shop. What's in the gear shop? The best gear that you can buy for hunting the West. All in all, if you're hunting out West in 2018, GoHunt.com/insider is where you need to be to get all the research information. When you use promo code WR, Whitetail Rendezvous receives a small commission from GoHunt.com. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. This is Bruce Hutchin, your host, and we're heading out to Virginia, and we're going to connect with an 18-year-old passionate hunter, not only for whitetails, but he loves chasing turkeys because they gobble back at him. Corbin Smith's his name, and Corbin's just got out of class, and so we're going to grab a couple minutes here and this chit-chat with the future of hunting in North America, Corbin Smith. Corbin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Glad you invited me to the show. Hope this gives a passion to everyone else like I have a passion for outdoors.
So, Corbin, you said you've been hunting for a long time. What's a long time? I mean, you're just 18 years old.
Yes, sir, it is. My dad actually had a choice when I was a baby to either babysit me or take me hunting. He was into hunting a lot, and so he decided to take me hunting. And I was about 2.5, 3 years old when he took me hunting. That's when it all started. And I'm glad. Can't thank Dad enough for taking me out and giving me the time of his life. Right there with him, making memories. Starting at 2.5 years old, 3 years old, like I said. Can't thank him enough, like I said. But glad he brought me out, introduced me to the outdoors and God's creation.
You know, it's and listeners, that's all you have to do. Ask somebody or talk to your uncle, dad, cousin, friend, mentor, and just invite them outdoors. And I think if they're not family members, you sure best get permission. But any age, you're never too early to get in the outdoors. So, Corbin, what did you hunt your first hunt?
I actually hunted deer, whitetail deer. Just what you're looking for. I hunted. It was back in 2009, actually. Whenever my dad and I and his friend and my buddy, we knew each other for a couple of years now. And then my dad's friend actually had some property out in Fredericksburg, where I'm from, and we went over to his property and we were hunting for deer that day, like I said. And it was my friend's first deer hunt for a while because he's in college now. But it was in 2009, like I said. We set up. We went there, got there early in the morning, got some coffee. Got to have some coffee. And got some coffee from the local 7-Eleven there. We went, after we got the coffee, we sat in the woods for about an hour and a half, 2 hours after daylight rose. And me and my dad heard a pow. So we called my dad's buddy, and he said that his son just shot his first doe. So I was like, sweet. So me and Dad, I was like, Dad, let's wait it out for a couple, at 30 minutes or an hour to see what happens. It was about 30 minutes after we heard the pow. This 5-point buck walked out, and it was probably 45, 50 yards away. And I told my dad, well, before everything, me and my dad been playing this game for a while. We always tap each other's shoulders, say, I see you when I see you, and joke around. And at the moment, before he started doing that, he started doing it, and I was like thinking he was kidding with me because we usually do it back and forth to each other, but he wasn't playing this time. He's like, Corbin, there's deer. I was like, no, there's not. And I guess I wasn't believing him. He's like, look, there's a deer. And I was like, oh, snap, Dad, I guess you are right. So I gun up, took the safety off, and aimed right behind his shoulder blade, and I shot, pulled the trigger, and dropped him. It was my first 5-point buck.
No way.
Yes, sir. It was one of the most memorable moments I had in my life.
I mean, it was just bang, bang. There's a deer.
Yep, bang, bang. Me and my buddy actually shot our first deer on the same day and the same exact time, and there's not too many people to say that.
Heck no.
No, I'm grateful. I'm just like I said, I'm grateful for what I got.
Well, yeah, that's I don't know how to say it, but that's pretty unbelievable.
Yes, it is.
You know, divine intervention maybe, but I'm just thinking, wow, that's way cool.
Yes, sir.
Now, so you went hunting, you got a deer. Now, were you on the ground on a tree stand, or just how were you set up?
I was actually set up right against me and Dad were set up right against a pretty nice sized cedar tree, I'd say, about 45 yards. And there was a kind of sounds weird, but there was a bus. This guy collected a lot of trucks and cars and stuff. And there was a bus to the left, and that's actually where the deer walked out, right from the left of that bus, and came right down to where we were. And it was about 45 yards away. And I pulled the trigger and shot it and dropped it.
That's unbelievable.
Yep, pretty awesome.
So, just what was the feeling? You're how old again?
I'm 18 years old now, but at the time I was 9 years old, and I just looked at Dad and I started like busting out in tears. I was like shaking so much. I could relive the moment like as I'm telling you it right now. It was speechless. Like I couldn't thank God enough for giving me one of His creatures for me to take and use for meat for my family. And I don't as a hunter, as a 18-year-old hunter, a lot of people just like hunt for the racks and like brag about the racks and stuff. I really didn't care if it was a doe or a buck. I just wanted the meat, and I was happy to get enough and fortunate enough to get a buck. And that rack on the buck is just extra. That's the prize. But what I really wanted was the meat, which I'm glad I got.
Well, yeah, because just think of that. I didn't shoot my first deer till I was sophomore in college, so I'm 1920-ish.
Yeah.
If you think about that, you were probably a heck of a lot happier than I was. I mean, I was pretty happy. I mean,
yeah, I just happened to look up at Dad. He started crying. I started crying. I was like, well, it doesn't get much better than this. So I called my mom up and I told Mom, I was like, Mom, I didn't shot my first deer. She started crying over the phone. I was like, well, darn, this is a pretty cool moment.
Well, yeah, just huge.
Yeah, that's definitely a big memory in my life right there.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's just simply, what a start. And, because your dad's passion for, whitetail hunting or hunting in general, you're able to tag along. So as a young hunter, what are a couple of things that you'd recommend your buddies and guy friends and girlfriends, if they want to get a hunting, how should they approach their parents?
Definitely safety. Safety's the key.
What do you mean by that?
It was actually a couple of years ago when my dad took me to this hunter safety course, and we learned all about safety, watching like knowing where the gun's pointed, knowing if the gun's loaded, unloaded, everything. Make sure the safety's on them, pretty much stuff like that.
So you got to go back to school. Basically, that's what you're telling me.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and when you go back, you go back to school, then you go, okay, I got to listen to the teacher and I got to apply it. Because here's one thing, listeners, whether you're going to mentor kids or you're youth yourself and just starting out, when you pull that trigger, whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Yep, you can't take that back. Once you pull the trigger, you can't take it back.
And when you think of that, it's like, oh my goodness, it's a huge responsibility. And it's more responsible than ever driving a car, and every teenager in the world wants to, get behind the wheel and drive a car, and that's a huge responsibility. Well,
yes, it most definitely is.
And you get around guns and bows and arrows, and once you let that go, typically you're aiming at something and you're going to kill them.
Yeah, you're going to take.
There isn't any. You're going to take a life, and all life is precious. And people say, well, that's a dichotomy, or it's just, how does that work? You're out there hunting. Well, I hunt, one, because there's a zillion reasons. One, I eat, especially growing up, especially when we were a young family, we ate what I killed. Those
Yes,
pure and
yep.
simple.
That's
And as
exactly right.
a kid, sometimes I brought home the rabbit or the squirrel or the grouse,
Yeah,
you know,
that's,
and
yeah,
that was a meal
understand.
for the family,
That
period.
was. That's the way to provide the family, at least one good way.
Yeah. And you think of that and you go, wow, that's a big responsibility. Yes. When I hunt, I travel, I meet a lot of people. Pulling the trigger takes 3 pounds of pressure. That's nothing.
Yep.
And it takes less than, somebody put a thousandth of a second to pull a trigger. So, everything leading up to hunting is part of it. Plus the camaraderie, plus the mentorships, plus spending time in the outdoors. And if you don't hunt, you just go, well, I can walk in the park by myself and not kill anything. Yes, you
Hmm.
can, and enjoy your
And
walk. You can play golf, and
yeah,
hit a little round ball and enjoy a walk. And that's your right. That's your you have a personal right to do that.
yes, you
And
do.
when you start thinking about hunting, it's it transcends all that, in my opinion, and in Corbin's opinion, it transcends all that. So when your friends ask you in high school right now, how come you're hunting? What do you tell them?
I pretty much tell them, like I said in the beginning, just enjoy God's creation. There's not a lot of people out there to get the chance to do what I do, and pretty much just walk out. Like I said, I fished. I also fished, and there's not a lot of people that can do that too. But sticking to hunting, hunting, that's what I grew up on. That's what I'll do for the rest of my life. I plan on doing, and I was sure when I have kids, I'll introduce them to like how I was introduced to.
Yeah, just I'm excited to talk to a young man like yourself because one, you put it out there, you speak who you are, your belief systems, are right there, and that's a part of hunting, or cannot be a part of hunting. What I'm talking about is your relationship with God. But it's so refreshing to hear young kids such as yourself, Corbin, to say, hey, God created it, and I'm a steward of it. So I'm going to go out and harvest and enjoy what was given to me. And so you know, from that standpoint, that's really cool.
It is. I'm glad God put these creatures on here on this earth and us humans to invent guns so we can make memories like I did when I shot my first deer and first turkey and shot my first gun ever.
And then you're also a big fisherman, aren't you?
Yes, sir, I am. I actually I started fishing. Ooh, started fishing when I was probably around the same age I started hunting. Was probably I think I started fishing around three or four. I started holding a pole when I was 4 years old.
What did you just say?
Yep. Started holding a fishing pole when I was about 4 years old. We have
Oh,
actually have
started holding. You're from
yeah,
Virginia, so I had to listen to what the heck you were saying.
yeah. I actually yeah. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
But yeah, I actually live in a neighborhood. There's a few ponds around my house, and we have a lake. And there's actually two parts of the neighborhood. I have to go across the main street to go to another lake that I grew up fishing on. But anyways, my friend and I, Devin, we actually are really good friends with each other, and we grew up fishing together, and we fished the lakes. And every day I'd go leave my house and go to his house, and he lived across on the other side of the lake. So I had to walk at least 2.5, 3 miles to get to his house just to go fishing. But I was like, well, it's worth it. But I fished a lot of ponds around my house, caught a little small or largemouth bass, few bluegill, crappie, some catfish. But it was pretty cool. And my every summer, Devin and I would these catfish would spawn up creek. There's a creek that we'd go to, and we'd actually catch them because they wouldn't live very long. We actually caught them and brought them back to a pond around the lake that the lake was connected to, and we actually helped them. We relocated them so they could have a life. You know what I mean?
That's kind of did a lot of them live?
Oh yeah, a lot of them left. I think we had a total count of 25 baby catfish.
Wow.
Yeah, but like I said, I started fishing when I was 4. But another funny story I had was my cousin Kelsey Rose came down. Her family came down and came down. She's never been freshwater fishing. They're from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and they'd never been freshwater fishing a day in their life. And we have a beach at our neighborhood, and we were like, well, we'll just take them down there so they get the feel for fishing or whatever. And we didn't promise them no fish or anything, but the first cast she ever cast out there, she actually caught think it was a 19-inch bass. And I was like, wow, not really. You're pretty lucky to catch a 19-inch bass first cast you get out there. That usually doesn't happen. So I was like, well, let me try it. And I cast it out there the next cast, and I caught a 20-inch bass. And I was like, well, snap. So I was reeling the 20-inch bass in. I told Dad to get the net, and we were on land at the time. And I got the bass to shore, and Dad actually scared the bass away, and it snapped my line. And I was kind of mad and sad at the same time because that was my biggest bass I ever caught or had on the line. But anyways, I was like, well, let me try out there and catch another one. I cast out there again, and I caught a 18-inch bass.
Now you're saying 3 casts and you got 3 bass?
Yeah, 3 nice bass. And I still don't know how to this day how we caught them. They must have been like in a feeding frenzy kind of mood or something. But it was pretty neat of how fast we caught those big of bass because that usually doesn't happen.
Well, heck no. And were they spawning? Was it during spawning time?
Yeah, it was. So that's what I was thinking. They had to have been spawning, and we cast it on their bed or something.
That's funny.
It was.
Well, that's interesting. So, I know you really love the fish. So how do you transfer over to your whitetail hunting some of the lessons learned from fishing? What do you think about that?
Patience. Patience is the key. You have to use patience. That's what I pretty much gotta say is patience. If you don't have patience, you're not gonna be able to sit there long enough and wait for a deer to walk up or a turkey. Just like you have patience to wait for the fish to bite the hook. Just the same instance. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I pretty much think patience, like you said, answering your question, patience. You have to have patience, no matter what you do in life. You have to have patience in the outdoors.
So, but you got to be in the right place too. You can be fishing a huge lake, and if you're not where the bass are, you're not going to get them. If you're not hunting where the whitetails are, you're not going to get them. So, how do you figure that out?
Pretty much like what I usually do is I scout a lot. Like for whitetail hunting, I look for when the rut's on or pre-rut. And no matter what, I just look for deer trails, rubs, scrapes from the bucks, and I usually set trail cameras up on the scrapes to see if they're old scrapes, which I can usually tell if they're old scrapes or new scrapes. But just in case, I usually just set up a trail camera on the scrapes and see if the bucks and see what kind of bucks I have coming into the scrapes. And just the same with fishing. I scout when it's spawning season. I scout out for spawning beds around the shore. Because around here, they usually do them around the shore. I don't know if they do them anywhere else like that around the shore or anything. But they do it a lot around about where I live.
And so what you do, you check it out and you figure out where they are. And historically, what I've found over the years, especially with rubs and scrapes, is until that deer is killed or dies in one way or another, he'll work the same territory. And bass are no different. They have specific territories and specific, forage that they're eating. And, fishing to me is a lot like hunting, or hunting's a lot, like fishing.
Yep.
Because you got to go where they are. You got to know what they're feeding on, and you got to know what type of cover they like. I mean, you start throwing all those things in there, and it works. It works out. What's your thought on that?
I mean, what I was taught. Just a little tip here. Growing up, my dad always told me if you ever find a rub, I don't know if you ever knew this, but if you ever find a rub on a tree, they usually do it in like a row. Like there's like 2 or 3 trees they do it on it. So like next time you go whitetail hunting and see or find a rub, you just look around and like to see because they usually do them in like rows, if you know what I mean. That's actually pretty true because I never believed my dad about that, but I guess it's true because I've seen a lot of rubs with rows in them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which I was like, well, I guess Dad's always right, like he always says.
Yeah, dads have a habit of being right.
Yeah, he does.
Well, they've been at it just longer than you have, but you're very fortunate to have a dad that wants to be out in the outdoors with you. And when we're talking about the show and you said, you're just passionate about the outdoors. What draws you out the outdoors rather than doing all the things kids like to do, sitting in your bedroom and playing, video games. What's up with the outdoors?
Outdoor, it's just like it's kind of hard to explain. Like it's more relaxing. I just can't be inside. There's way more stuff to do outside than be inside. My dad actually tried to buy me a PlayStation a couple of years ago, and honestly, I have not used it since he's bought it. He bought it from Christmas for a couple of years ago, and I've not used it since. We've only used it for family movies. But anyways, uh, pretty much like that's kind of a hard subject to touch at. It's like uh, it's just like the different creations. If you like stop what you're doing and take a deep breath and like just look around and be like, wow, he's done a lot for us. He has done a lot for us, and I feel like he put all this stuff on Earth for us to enjoy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I know what you mean a lot. Um, it's springtime now in the South and Midwest, and turkey hunting is either in swing in a lot of states or coming, going to start here soon. What's your allure or what's your love for turkeys all about?
yes, sir. Actually, turkey season is coming up soon. It starts April 14th, so we got only a couple more days to get ready. But pretty much, uh, I was introduced to turkey hunt when I was about 9 years old, and it was pretty cool. I forgot to tell you that I shot my first turkey and my first deer in the same year.
No way.
Yep, I sure did. And I thought that was pretty cool. There's not too many kids like me out there to be able to do that. But anyways, I was introduced to turkey hunting when I was about 9 years old. Um, I got to give credit to my dad's friend Pat O'Keefe. Uh, he invited me and dad to go turkey hunting, and we actually my dad's buddy had a piece of property up in Loudoun County, Virginia, and I mean I couldn't explain that property more than enough than just saying that was the honey hole. I mean, the first time we went up there, we seen turkey, we heard turkey, and that was literally the best spot I've ever seen turkey at. And I've been turkey hunting since then. But every time Dad and I have gone up there, we've seen them, heard them, or we've shot one. But it's actually a pretty cool story I got to tell you. Um, it was I was 9 years old, and Dad, me, and my dad's friend Pat, we Dad and I went up there for a week or for a weekend when I was out of school. I think it was during I forgot, but anyways, it was during a break or whatever for me from school, and we went up there for a weekend, and this is the first time actually meeting my dad's friend Pat. But anyways, we went over there to the property, and I think it was like the third or fourth time us going to that property. Dad and I sat there all day while Pat was calling a few times here and there because we don't want to overcall turkey that because they don't like that. But anyways, Dad and I sat there for about because we got to stop hunting at 12 in the early season here, and we sat there probably until 10:30, and we was like, all right, we are not hearing anything or seeing anything, so we decided to pack up. And Dad was putting up the chairs, and my dad's friend was putting up the blind. But anyways, I was off about 35 yards, stirring around in the leaves, and it was like one of those instances. Dad and I happened to look up at the same time, and at each other. And I told Dad, I was like, I heard one. And he was like, looked at his friend Pat, and he was like, oh, he's just messing around. He's like, he doesn't hear anything. I was like, Dad, I heard one, I promise. So my dad's friend Pat hit the slate call, and oh, I'm getting shaky from just telling you a story. Uh, my dad's friend hit the slate call, and uh, sure enough, the turkey gobbled at us, and we didn't know how many there were at the time, and we didn't know how many there were at the time. But so we set up real quick. There was this little makeshift blind that my dad's friend had, right next to where we set up at, and we set up over there. And my dad's friend was like, "Do you think I should set up a decoy?" And Dad was like, "Okay, sure, why not? Set up a decoy." So we set up a decoy, and pretty much it wasn't even 5 minutes. They weren't even 5 minutes away. We set up so quick. I was shaking, heard turkeys gobbling. They were coming, and sure enough, I was like, Dad, I see them. And Pat was calling the turkey call, making them gobble, getting me more shook up than I've ever been shook up before. But anyways, I told Dad I seen the turkey. Dad done. I had my gun up already. Dad was checking on me, making sure I had my gun up and everything. But Dad done forgot to put his gun up to shoot the turkey. So I guess Dad told me he's thinking, oh well, he'll just let me shoot a turkey and let me feel the moment of it. But I told Dad, all right, look, when I shoot, you're gonna pull your gun up and shoot. And sure enough, the 10 yards away, gobbling their heads off. There was 3 jakes together. But anyways, I pulled the trigger, dropped my bird, and Dad got lucky enough to pull his gun up and shoot the other jake. So we both got 2 birds on the ground, and I was more thankful than enough. I couldn't thank Pat enough for inviting me up there, me and Dad, to shoot our first turkey on the same day, same exact time. But one extra good credit Dad did for us was he actually wrote an article about and sent it about Dad or me and him shooting our first turkey on the same day, same exact time, and sent it off to Field and Stream magazine. And he actually got a response back and they said that they're actually going to put us in the magazine and feature us. So that was pretty cool that we got to be put in the magazine.
Boy, yeah, that would be cool for anybody. Do you know what month that was published, or is it going to be published this year?
No, it was actually a couple of years ago. I think it was June 2009. The magazine it was in the magazine. Like I said, it was a couple of years ago when I shot my first turkey.
Wow, that's I was right along with you and singing. Oh man, I hear something. Oh, here they come. Do something.
Yeah.
Somebody do something.
What it was actually pretty funny is I was like, Dad, come on, let's go to every single convenience store around here and see if they got it. And sure enough, Dad drove around to every store we had around my town here, and we actually got all the copies. We got about 5 copies left from handing them out to family members and everything. But we probably got a total of 15 magazines of Field Stream of us in it.
Well, you saved one to give to your son when you do have a son down the road here in a few years.
Did you say what do I say to him?
Well, I said you save one of those magazines for your son or daughter when you have one to make sure they get one.
Oh, yes, sir. I definitely will. That's definitely a memorable thing. I would be able to tell the stories like I'm my grandpa. Well, I wasn't really close to my grandpa, but anyways, I'll be glad to share them with my kids when I have them.
Oh, for sure. Well, Corbin, I just thanks for the visit. I know you probably got chores to do or turkeys to find or bass to catch or land sakes homework. And I don't know what time it is out east, probably 6:30, might even be dinner time. But on behalf of thousands of listeners across North America, I want to say thank you for being a guest. You're so refreshing. You're so excited. And, you represent what's great about kids in the outdoors because you're just passionate about it. So, and I certainly tip my hat to you for standing up for your faith also. So that's a great thing. So with that, it's time to say adios, and I will be in touch with you and let you know when your show's going to air.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, a special series is coming up for all you listeners. There's going to be about 9 segments to it, and we're going to visit with Matt Dye and Adam Keith from Land and Legacy, Jason Obermiller and Eric Fitzgerald from Rackology, and John O'Brien from Grandpa Ray Outdoors. Why am I doing this? Well, there's a lot of questions I get all the time about land management, what it is, what it isn't, about food plots. Land Sakes, there's more information about food plots than I think, March Madness. But having said that, I develop a series with these gentlemen, and so we're going to just break it down for the next few weeks and enjoy, listen, and learn. And give me feedback if you like this series format at whitetailrendezvous@gmail.com.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.